Let me show you 5 ways to have fun in Affinity Designer 2 for the iPad and learn a little bit more about its tools at the same time. These beginner-friendly projects are simple to make, anyone can do them, but it will also help you get more comfortable with its tools so they'll feel more natural when you're using them in future projects. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with a super easy way to create a layered cut paper effect with vector shapes. I've created a new document that is letter sized, just 8.5 inches by 11 inches, and the first thing I want to do is create vector rectangles in a rainbow of colors just layered on top of each other. So I'll turn on the vector rectangle tool and choose my first color. You can do this in any order with any colors, but I'm doing this in a rainbow of colors, and I've linked my color palette below if you want to try this exact sequence of colors. Each rectangle I make is going to create its own layer, and you start from the bottom and you go to the top. Once all of the color layers are made, we're going to use the knife tool to cut away a blob shape from every layer. And from this process, we'll start from the top layer first and then work back. So I'm going to turn on the knife tool. On the top menu, choose Close Always and turn on a window stabilizer. You can also adjust the stabilization amount however you like. Now I'll just take the knife tool and cut out the first blob. The top layer will have your biggest cutout so that you can see the other cutouts below. Once you make that cutout, it's going to divide it into 2 layers, and we'll just simply delete the cutout. Then I'll just work down my layer stack, creating a cutout and deleting it, making the blob smaller and smaller and making sure to vary the shape so you get the best layered effect and you can see all of them. And you don't have to cut out the bottommost layer, you can leave it uncut. Once all of the cutouts are done, select each layer with a cutout. Then go to the 3-dot menu and choose Duplicate. Now go back to the layer stack and unselect the duplicate layers since they populated above the original layer. Now select the lower layers. So it's going to be every other one. Now go back to the color palette and change the color of these to black. Now tap on FX and choose Gaussian Blur. Turn up the slider so that those layers blur. With those layers selected, with the Move and Transform tool, move these layers diagonally up or down so it looks like a shadow. You can always add an overlay to make it look more paper-like, but I think it looks really cool just like this. Now I'm going to show you how to make a vector landscape. I've created another new document that is letter sized, so I'm going to work from the back to the front, and the first thing I'm going to do is make a gradient for the background. I'm going to add a new pixel layer and then tap on the gradient tool and drag down my canvas. I'm going to change the top color to this pink and then the bottom color to this kind of peach color. Since most of the background is going to be covered, I can drag the bottom node up so we can see more of that peach from the top half of my page. Now I'll add a sun. So I'll choose the vector shape tool and choose the circle. I'm going to change the color to this lighter peach and then make my shape holding down one finger so that it creates a perfect circle. I want the sun to blend in with the background, so I'll turn on the gradient tool again and tap on the vector circle and change the bottom color to that darker peach that is in the background. So now it blends really nicely with the background. It kind of makes it look like a hazy sunset. To add some clouds, I'll choose the vector pencil tool and change the fill to the lighter peach, then just draw some cloud shapes. And to make the clouds blend in, I'm going to turn down the opacity to 75%. Now I want to make a few layers of mountains. I'm just going to choose some of the darker pinks and layer them and vary the pinks enough so that they don't blend together too much. So I'll just take the pencil tool and trace the shape of mountains and then meet it back with the other side. And I just like to take the node tool and make adjustments to the nodes, sometimes add a node and try to make the best mountain shapes that I can. I also like to add a gradient to this as well. So I'll select my mountain layer, choose the gradient tool, and then drag down the mountain. And Affinity will choose a default color for you. It seems to try to match what you've already done, but you can always adjust it to the color that you want. For this mountain, I want to make it seem like there's more of a shadow cast on the far side of it, the side that's not facing the sun. So for that, I'll pick up the knife tool again. This time I'll switch it to Close Off from the top menu, and you can also choose to turn off the stabilizer. So I'm just going to make a cutout that looks like a shadow on the mountain, and when that separates into 2 layers, I'll change the far side to a darker pink. And with that same darker pink, I'll add another mountain. And since this is such a freeform way to make this landscape, you can always go back and make adjustments to the different layers of mountains to make sure that they're contrasting enough, and also making any adjustments to the nodes to get the mountain shapes that you want and get them to pop up behind the front ones and just make it look how you like. Next, we're going to add some smaller hills and blend in some trees. So first I'll choose a darker color and draw in the hills, getting darker as we get closer to the foreground, since it's farther away from the sun. To add some trees, I'm just going to draw one with the pencil tool and then adjust the smoothing a little bit. I don't want it to be too rounded on the branches of the tree. And then I'll just draw a freeform fir tree. Now I can duplicate it and overlap a bunch of them. And sometimes Affinity wants to kind of guess where you want to place your next tree, and sometimes it's off canvas and you just got to go find it. It's kind of a funny thing. I'm sure there's a way to turn this off, but sometimes it happens. But once I've got them all arranged, I'll select them all as well as the matching hill and then drag everything below the hill in the foreground and then tap on the 3-dot menu and group them. Now I want to do the same for the foreground hill, so I'll duplicate one of the trees and move it to the top and change the color to the matching hill in the front. I also want to increase its size slightly since it's closer to the front, and I'll do the same thing with these trees as I did with the background trees. I'll duplicate it and arrange them like trees on a hillside. And you can add as many hills and trees if you'd like, add any texture overlays, but when you get to a point that you like, this one comes together super quickly and it looks really pretty. Now we're going to use a few new tools to make a really pretty seamless pattern. So I'm in a canvas that is 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels. This is going to be a diagonal repeat pattern. So the first thing I want to do is give myself a little bit of a guide. So I'll go to the vector shapes and choose the diamond. While I make the diamond, I'll hold one finger down on the screen so it makes a perfect diamond. It'll just make sure that each side is of equal size. And I'm going to center that, reduce its opacity, and make a new pixel layer. I want to sketch out my idea first, so I'm going to switch to the pixel persona, but before I start drawing, I'm going to turn on the symmetry tool by tapping on the icon that looks like an eye and also turn on mirror next to it. To get the symmetry to mirror side to side, I'll tap and hold on one of the long sides of the symmetry line and then just drag it until it's vertical. And I can also move the center dot however I need to get it centered. So now I'll just sketch out the flower I want for this pattern, and it's got a kind of Matisse look to it. And since I have the symmetry tool turned on, I can draw it in half the time and it'll make the pattern look even nicer since it will be symmetrical. So I'll turn down the opacity of my sketch and then go back to the designer persona. Switching to the pixel persona will allow us to just sketch easily, and then going back to the designer persona will help us turn this into a vector. I'm going to draw this using the vector pencil again and use a fill, starting with the stem and the leaves, but this time with the pencil tool at the top, I'm going to turn on close always so that when I draw, it will close for me. I don't have to work with precision to get my shape to close. I'm going to try to not lift up my pencil too much. It's just going to make it easier to clean up once I've got it all drawn, and I'm only going to draw half of it. When I'm done, I'll duplicate it and then turn on the move and transform tool and then mirror it. I'll move it over and align it with the original side, then I'll merge them together. If it gets this empty space in the center, you can clean it up with the shape builder tool. So just select your layers, turn on the shape builder tool and tap on add at the top, and I'll just drag across to close everything into one shape. And I'll just use the same method to make the shapes for my flower petals. I'm just going to draw half of my petals and then just duplicate them and mirror them on the other side. Now let's turn this into a tile that we can make into a seamless pattern. First, make sure you have snapping turned on by tapping on this little magnet at the top. Then select all layers and group them. Now I'll duplicate it once and move it into the corner, and since snapping is turned on, you'll get these green and red lines to show you that you've aligned it correctly. Then I'll just repeat that for the remaining corners. Also, you can make sure that your main image is centered as well. Next, I'm going to go back to the pixel persona and just make a simple background fill color. I forgot to do this at the beginning, so I'll just go ahead and do that now. Now I'm just going to turn this into a tile by tapping on export. I'm going to export it as a JPEG just for simplicity and just save it to my Files app. To make it into a pattern, I'm just going to open up a new document. First, I'm going to add a new vector shape. I'm just going to make a square, and then I'll turn on the vector fill tool. Tap on the icon of the picture, which is actually called the set bitmap fill, and then tap on files, and then I'll just choose the tile that I saved. This will import my image, and when you get these toggles, just move it and it will continuously tile in the pattern. You can even resize the square and fill in your whole canvas. So now I want to try some very simple graphic designs. Badges like scout badges are cute and fun, and here's how to make a really simple one. First, I'll make a vector circle, so I'll choose this green for my fill color, and I want black as my outline color. To make the outline stand up, I'm going to turn up the thickness just big enough so that it stands out. Now I'll make another inner circle, and I'll choose the lighter green, but I want to make the black outline even thicker, so I'll increase the outline size. And I'll make the circle a little smaller than the first one and then center it to the first one. In order to make a small vector illustration in the middle, I first want to make a little sketch just as a guide, and to do that, I'll switch to the pixel persona. I'll add a new pixel layer and then sketch out a little drawing, something that you'd see on a scout badge. Mine is just going to be unserious and cute, and it's going to be some marshmallows for roasting. So with my sketch done, I'll switch back to the designer persona and then use a vector pencil to turn this into a vector. I'll choose my fill color and then again work back to front. I just want to make sure to turn off the outline thickness so I just get the fill. And once my first roasting stick is drawn, I'll draw the next one on top. To add a little bit of definition between the two, I'll add a gradient to the back one to act like a shadow. So I'll turn on the gradient and tap on the back stick. To make it more like a shadow, I'll tap in the center to add another point to my gradient. So the center point will need to be black and the top and bottom points can stay just the original brown. And then I just adjust them so that they look like the top stick is making that shadow. Now I can draw in the marshmallows. I'll just draw one, as well as a little bit of a curve to show some width and then the top of the stick. After grouping these shapes together, I'll duplicate it, and then with the move and transform tool turned on, I'll mirror it and then rotate it and move it to the other stick. Now all this needs is some text. So in the center of the image, I'll just add a straight text. So I'll turn on the text tool, tap in the center of my badge, and the first word I'm going to type in is s'mores. And then just change the font to one called Happy Trails. This font is for sale on my Etsy shop, and I'll link it below if you want to use it too. So this text is way too small, so I'll increase the size until it fits nicely. And I also don't want to use this black, so I'll change it to white. White just looks a little bit nicer on this badge. And the fitting thing to do now is to add some curved text at the bottom. So I'll first use the pen tool to make a curve under my illustration. Now I'll turn the text tool on again and tap on the left side of the curve and type out the word taste tester. And then just adjust the size and nodes just to get it to fit. And if you want to create more space between the letters or adjust the kerning, you adjust the tracking in the text adjustments. Tap on the text formats arrow, then positioning, and then increase the tracking. In Designer, tracking is kerning or letter space. You also may need to adjust the line that your text is on so that it fits correctly. And when the text looks the way you want, you can just be done with your badge and add any other details or just keep making more because these are so cute and fun. So now that we're familiar with creating icons, we can start making vector illustrations and turn them into an image that can be used as a die cut sticker. So in this project, I'll show you how to make this white outline around your illustration. I'm just going to use another 1000 pixel by 1000 pixel document, and a really easy way to make stickers like this first one is to start with vector shapes. I'm going to choose the heart. I'll choose a pretty pink for the fill and black for the outline. While I make the heart, I'll hold down one finger on my screen so that the shape stays even. I'll turn up the outline so that it's on the thicker side. So now I can just add some additional details with the other vector shape tools. First, I'll add a shine simply by using the pencil tool, using white, and just draw in some blobs to make a shine. Then to make some more refined shine spots, I'll go back to the vector shapes and add a white diamond. And to make it more like a shine, I'll tap on convert to curves at the top. Then with the node tool, squeeze in the sides, and then I'll just duplicate that and add a few more around the heart. Now I want to add a few lined stars. So I'll create a vector star and give it a thick black outline and a yellow fill. Then I'll tap on increase the radius so that the center is larger. Then with the red dot at the top, I'll pull it down so it rounds out the corners. Then I'll duplicate it, but this time I'll change the points from the top menu to 4, and I can still adjust the inner radius and the rounding if I want to make any adjustments. I'm also going to add a little face with some rosy cheeks, and by now using the vector ellipse tool and the pen tool to make a mouth are second nature. So we've already used these many times throughout this video, and we're just repeating the skills we've already learned. So with those drawn in, we can now make the white outline, and it's better to wait to do this last. So I'm going to select only the elements that have an outer edge. So the main heart and the 2 stars because they cross over the edges. Now I'll go up to the 3-dot menu and choose expand stroke. Then from the layer stack, I'll choose only the outlines and duplicate them. With those outlines still selected, just the original set, I'll go to the 3-dot menu again and choose Merge Curves. Now I can turn them white and move them to the bottom of the stack. Once they are on the bottom of the stack, I'm going to use the contour tool to expand it. So I'll tap on the contour tool here and then turn up the radius until it's at a thickness that you like. But since it's on a white background, it might be kind of hard to see. So you can change it to a transparent canvas or create a black background so you can really see it. And you can see using that contour tool in this way makes this into a really great die cut sticker. So those are my 5 really fun projects you can try in Affinity Designer 2. And if I moved too quickly through some of these projects, let me know in the comments if there's any that you would like me to try again and slow down and help you really get to know the process of how to make it. Comment down below which one you'd like to see a whole video on and I'll focus on that. And I just wanted to thank you for watching this whole video. And if you're not subscribed, please do. And you'll see on my channel that I've been focusing on Affinity a lot lately. And I started off as a Procreate educator, and I'm still trying to find a way to incorporate Affinity and Procreate into my channel because I really do love both of the apps. Procreate, of course, is a paid app, and I wanted to help those that wanted a free app by showing them Affinity as well. And I'm also trying to find a way to integrate both of these apps into a project that I can show you on my channel because I do use both of them together. So I'm just trying to find a way to do that in an interesting way. So if you have any ideas, let me know. But until then, if you would like to try another fun way to use Affinity, go ahead and watch this video right here.